Now, you can reactivate yesterday's momentum by remembering what you were thinking about. And if you stay there for 17 seconds, you'll get that momentum going. But we really want you to hear that yesterday's momentum need not enter today's vibrational point of attraction. It's logical that it does, because you're habitual creatures and because you've got same friends that you visit with and you have these patterns that you've developed. But as you accept this small handful of things, first, all of your power, your point of power is right here, right now, in this present moment. An easier way for you to hear that is you have the power to choose any vibrational disc. You have the power to do it. You have the choice to do it, but you don't have sometimes the skill to do it yet, because law of attraction is yielding to you the vibrational equivalent of the momentum that you've already gotten established. So if you could accept from us, we are not kidding you at all, at all, at all. Yesterday's momentum has no power in today unless you reach into yesterday and today reactivate the thought of yesterday. Do you believe that? Yes. So when you get up and you know about this disc, and you know about thought, and you know about the 17-second rule, and we're not talking about food on the floor. You know that you've got 17 seconds to establish momentum, that you have choices. Then each day you do it, you'll get better and better and better at it. And so this is what we would do if we were standing in your physical shoes. We would put ourselves in our bed at night and we would say, tomorrow's going to be a whole new day and I'm going to get off on the right vibrational foot tomorrow and I'm looking forward to it, period. We wouldn't spend a lot of time beating any drums or making any promises to self or getting all girded up in determination. We would just softly make the statement to ourselves and then go to sleep as easily as we can. Then, in your first awareness that you are awake and aware, we would acknowledge it's a new day and a new possibility of momentum. And then we would contemplate these spinning discs that Abraham has been talking about, and we would just make a statement. I choose the high-flying disc. I choose the highest, most resistant-free vibration that I can find. And it's going to be fun to see what that choice of that disc yields for me today. And no big deal in any event. And then we would just take the day as it comes. In the first moment that there's a dip in the way you feel, you'll have conscious awareness that you've maybe chosen another disc, and you might even have awareness of what subject it was that took you there. Because you have patterns of thought, you have issues that you deal with, you have certain people that take you there, you know that you do. And what's going to happen to you after a few days is you're not going to feel protective of this high-flying disc. You're going to feel confident in your ability to get there. Maybe for a while not confident in your ability to stay there because life happens and you got stuff going on and there's momentum and there's people that you're dovetailing with, and some of them are easier to stay with than others. But gradually you'll begin to choose those conversations with others that are likely to keep you there and avoid those conversations that are not. But in the avoiding, there is the actual choosing of the other. So you can't walk through your day and say, I'm not going to talk to you because that person shows right up. Just the idea that you're not going to talk to that person puts you on the disc where they live. And then every corner you turn, there they are again. It's uncanny. They're like stalkers. They're everywhere you don't want them to be. Law of attraction, make sure of that. But as you play with this for a little while, you'll begin to notice the absolute correlation between the magical things, it will seem like magic, it isn't, that begin happening in your life. The rendezvous with thoughts and ideas and others that feel better and better and better, until eventually you'll have this attitude, oh yeah, I choose that disc and usually I can stay there for a little while and I can't usually stay there all day and it doesn't matter because each day I choose it again and again and again. You just get better and better at navigating your way up this emotional scale. We want to talk about momentum and we want to talk about influence and we want to talk about the power of someone like your mother who is now non-physically focused, who is pure positive energy, who holds no regrets and who is focused upon you. So we want you to focus for a little bit on non-physical energy, whether you define it as your mother, or whether Esther defines it as Jerry, or whether you call it Abraham, or whether you call it what most people refer to this non-physical energy as God, although they sort of mess it up with all of the things that they think about that. But whatever label you want to give to this non-physical energy, feel the power of it, the momentum of it, the lack of resistance of it, and therefore the potential influence of it. And know that that energy knows everything that you've put into the vortex, where it is in relationship to you, and is carving out constantly paths of least resistance in order for you to find your way exactly to all of the things that you want, with the most vivid detail that you have applied to your vortex. It is really a wonderful thing to experience. So what we're wanting you to focus upon for a moment is the feeling of that power of influence. And we want you to feel the power of that influence so strong. We want you to feel the vortexual version of it. We want you to feel the momentum of it, stronger than your Earth spinning in its orbit. We want you to feel the upward motion of it. And we want you to feel its attention on you, and the potential for calling you vibrationally upward to it. So here's this energy calling you upward, calling you upward, calling you upward. And if you are a cooperative component, up you go. Which means if you have not done that thing you do that holds you in a different vibration and makes you resistant to that, then up you go. So as each day goes by, that you are a little lighter, a little freer, a little less enamored with the troubles of your life, a little less verbal and a little less vocal, and a little less giving airtime to the things that you don't want. As you cease doing more and more that thing you've been doing that has been holding you in a vibrational frequency that has been making you resistant to this upward motion, you become more buoyant. It's like the cork floats right to the surface unless you hold it under the water. And as you play with this idea of finding better and better feeling thoughts, you become just more naturally buoyant. And then the better it gets, because in that lightheartedness that you felt, you described this feeling of immeasurable relief when your mother made her transition. That's what it feels like when you're not holding yourself in resistance to your natural energy and flow. So the first thing we would do is set the stage the night before, acknowledge in the morning, and then do our best to stay on that high-flying disc as best we could through the day. We've written book after book after book and filled them with process after process after process, all with the intention of helping you to release resistance. And all of them are effective. The better you get at understanding how these laws of the universe work, the more you can apply these processes. Recently, we've been saying to you, and we mean it with everything that we have, don't work too hard at trying to get back on the disc, because once you fall off, there's enough momentum that almost any struggle or effort that you offer will be counterproductive to you, because you get defensive. You try to justify. You try to explain to somebody who's not even asking, well, you see, why I'm not on the disc is because of that and that and that and that and that. The less airtime you give to the explanation of why you don't feel good, the less you'll hold yourself in that other momentum that is counter to what you want. So we just be as happy as we can be, as long as we could be. And then when you're aware that you have fallen or that you have chosen a different disc, then we would apply these simple techniques. We would say to ourselves, I'm aware that I'm not really where I want to be. And I'm aware that any attention I give to being where I don't want to be is just going to practice that vibration longer. So I'm going to do the best job I can of distracting myself from whatever it is that is at the heart of this newfound, less than positive, somewhat negative emotion. Then these are the tools that we would utilize in this order. If we could, we would take a nap, because slumber will start the day over again. If that's not practical, we would meditate. Quieting the mind accomplishes the same thing. And if you've been meditating for a while, you'll get really, really good at it. Making a list of positive aspects isn't a really good tool under those conditions, because you're already not on a very good disc. And so you're going to say it, but you're not going to mean it. And when you say things you don't mean, you just practice what you do mean. You see what we're getting at? So what we're talking about here is just managing your alignment, managing your connection, Your connection to what? Your connection to the energy. Your connection to the vibration. Your connection to the vibration of source. Your connection to the influence of source. Your connection to the path of least resistance to everything that you want. After a few days of playing with this, you're going to begin to notice, some of you already are noticing, synchronicity in your life, rendezvous with things that you cannot help but understand is the universe setting you up for understanding about thing after thing after thing. Esther said, I need to start writing this stuff down because it's happening with such speed that it's intoxicating, first of all, to see how many things that the universe can orchestrate that equal, for Esther, evidence of that alignment. We wanted to say earlier in the conversation that what life is for all of you is this moment and how you feel, period. It's this moment and how you feel, period. We know that's sort of a boring thing to contemplate, but it is this moment and how you feel, period. That's what life is. It's always this moment and how you feel, period. And when you start at the beginning of the day caring about how you feel, noticing how you feel, and tending to how you feel, and then have awareness of how you feel, you're off and running in deliberate creation, the likes of which almost nobody that you ever know will be doing. In other words, just that little bit of conscious awareness at the beginning of the day. And then anything that you can do. We think it's a really good thing when you realize that you're not where you want to be, to just hold the image of falling out of an airplane and hearing Abraham saying, hang on, it'll be over in a little bit. And just don't sweat over it, don't suffer over it, don't struggle over it. And this is the thing that we can feel it with you, we can feel it with all of you, we feel it with Esther on a daily basis. You are efforting at the wrong times. When you effort from a lower flying disc, you only practice the momentum of the lower flying disc. The harder you try, the more you encourage the momentum. And it's because of this powerful universal law. The more general you are, the more you slow the momentum. The more specific you are, the more you speed the momentum. So, we'd plan the night before. We'd do our best that morning. We'd fly as high as we can. We'd crash and burn if we have to. We wouldn't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. And then we would acknowledge that this effort that I'm applying right now is counterproductive under these conditions. Or this attention that I am applying right now is productive under these conditions. And what's the condition? If it feels good, you want to be specific. If it doesn't feel good, you want to be general. That's really a good tool. It's really a good thing to understand. So somebody comes to you and they say, you know, I have an issue. It's someone at work. I have an issue about such and such. So as soon as they walk into your space, you feel yourself potentially slipping from that high-flying disc. So what would, given what we've just said to you, your best course of action be? To say to them, oh, really? What is the problem? More specific. Or to say to them, I have to go to the bathroom. Or to say to them, you're one of the best problem solvers I've ever known. Let me know how it turns out. Or to say to them, I'm on a high-flying disc. And talking to you is a very high probability that I soon won't be on a very high-flying disc. Now let me explain to you about the high-flying disc. I want to be on the high-flying disc. You want me to be on the high-flying disc. Now, most people aren't ready for this conversation. You really have a wonderful benefit if you're hanging around with people that do know about the high-flying disc. In other words, once you get the hang of this and you're hanging around together and somebody comes with you with some sort of problem, just point upward like, just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. Because as soon as you say, do we really want to go there? You've gone.